Welcome to WildBro Farm. If you enjoy our adventures and want to see more, don't forget to hit subscribe and join the journey. Deep in the rolling farmlands of Germany, a full-scale invasion is underway, and the enemy weighs up to 400 pounds, roots like a bulldozer, and has zero fear of humans. Wild boars are tearing through cornfields, potato patches, and pastures at an alarming rate, costing German farmers tens of millions of dollars every single year. What was once an occasional nuisance has turned into an all-out war on rural livelihoods. Enter the hunters, a tough, no-nonsense crew who've made it their mission to push back. These guys aren't just out for sport, they're the last line of defense between the boars and total crop destruction. Every drive is pure adrenaline, hearts hammering, rifles ready, eyes scanning the tree line for a black shadow that can vanish in seconds. One twitchy second. You're out in the wide-open fields of Brandenburg with Kevin and his team, the frost still on the ground, watching them form a tight firing line before sunrise. Nothing gets past them, not if they can help it. One wrong move, one boar that breaks through, and the whole day can turn chaotic. Stick around, because by the end I'm going to ask you to vote on the most intense moment we captured. Trust me, you'll feel like you were right there in the field with us, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Then, without warning, a massive boar exploded from the thick brush and barreled straight toward Nick. No hesitation, no second guessing. Nick snapped the rifle to his shoulder and squeezed one clean shot. Crack, the boar dropped instantly, hitting the dirt like a 300-pound sack of potatoes before sliding out of sight into the tall grass. Textbook. Clean, fast, and dead center, exactly why Nick was the best trigger man on the crew. The remaining sounders froze for half a second, ears pinned, then scattered like an explosion in every direction. Hearts hammering louder than the midday Texas sun beating down overhead, Kevin's team didn't miss a beat. They flowed through a gap in the fence, ghosted across the neighboring field, and melted into their preset ambush spots smooth as silk. They'd run this place so many times it felt like muscle memory, and honestly, it pretty much was. 10 minutes later, J-Scope's scope settled on movement to the east, a sounder of wild hogs tearing up fresh dirt like they'd paid rent on the place. One boar stood out, a hulking, black-bristled monster with cutters long enough to make a man wince. The kind of trophy that turns a good day legendary. He squeezed the trigger once. The report cracked through the timber, and that big boar dropped like a sack of feed, legs kicking hard for a second before going still. J-Scope thumbed the mic button. Big one down. Birds blowing out northwest, thick cover, moving fast. No time for celebrating. He forced his voice flat and calm, the way pros do. The rest of the crew was already reacting, closing the circle they'd spent all week setting up with collars and trackers. Seconds dragged like hours, then, 20 yards from where Kevin lay glassing a clearing, the brush detonated. Leaves, dirt, and angry hogs came boiling straight at him. Out in the middle of a moonlit wheat field, a big lone boar came crashing through the stalks like a freight train, squealing in pure panic. One stray round had already kicked up dirt nearby, but the next shot was perfect, crack, and the huge hog dropped in his tracks. Applause and cheers broke out over the radios. Threat down, crop saved, another notch on the rifle stock. For tonight at least, the fields could sleep easy.
Shot. Dor é empolgante. Antes de partir para o centro da Califórnia,
A couple hours north, up in Lower Saxony, the war never really ends. James crouched low at the edge of a thick wall of switchgrass, the golden corn behind him swaying in the night breeze. His rifle rested steady across his knee, eyes locked on the black void where the field met the woods. Then it happened out of nowhere. A monster so exploded from cover, all teeth and attitude, charging straight at him like she had a personal grudge. The second her silhouette broke clear, James didn't flinch. He squeezed the trigger smooth and sure, and the night went quiet again. She eased the trigger back, and the sharp report rolled across the frost-crusted flats like a clap of thunder. The big boar dropped in mid-stride, legs folding under him before he knew what hit him. Clean kill, one squeeze, one life taken, one crop saved. Minutes later the hound struck a scalding hot track. The pack opened up in full cry, that wild, music to a hog hunter's ears chorus that makes your blood jump. Jay and the crew were already moving, boots on the ground, rifles at the ready. They spread out and took stands along the thicket's edge, eyes locked on the wall of brush, waiting for whatever came busting out. It didn't take long. A black shadow exploded from the cover, tusks flashing white in the early light. Rifles snapped to motion. A single, crisp crack cut the morning wide open. The boar slammed into the frozen dirt and never twitched again. Another old warrior down, another farmer's cornfield spared from getting torn to pieces. That, right there, is why we do this one perfect shot at a time. What do you think about this topic? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more similar videos.
Por